Hey everybody, it's Jordan here with Major Hi-Fi, back again with another review, and today we've got an exciting new over-ear headphone from Noble Audio. But first, if you like what you see on this channel, definitely like and subscribe. It helps us out, and it'll help you get videos just like these right into your feed. So if you've been in the audiophile hobby, you've surely heard of Noble Audio. They're known for their IEMs and TWS earbuds, pretty much anything that goes in your ears, they're making. But today we've got a special new product from them. It's their first over-ear Bluetooth headphone, the Focus Apollo. It's a dual driver headphone and it comes in at $649. So it definitely is looking to be a luxury product, but also compete with some of the other high-end Bluetooth headphones that are out there. So does it compete with those? What does it sound like? And how is it different than other headphones? All that and more coming up in this review. In the box, you've got the EVA carrying case, a 3.5mm aux cable, a USB-C cable, a 2-prong airline adapter, a 1/4-inch adapter, a 3.5mm to 4.4mm adapter, and a detachable boom mic. Now, the Focus Apollo are built quite nicely. They prioritize durability as well as good looks with their high-quality build materials. Its frame is constructed from anodized aluminum, which works twofold to increase that durability and also increase those good looks. Complementing that aluminum frame are your memory foam ear pads, which are actually wrapped in Korean protein leather. It's a really premium protein leather. It feels really good on your ears. It's really comfortable, and overall, I found these headphones to have really appropriate clamping force and just a really comfortable feel. And then especially with this mesh lining on the headband as well as on the ear cup for more aesthetic purposes. It's just a really comfortable headphone. It feels good. I could see it lasting for quite a long time, and on that note, these ear pads are even removable, so you can swap them out for new ones if they get damaged or they've just got wear and tear over the years, and even if there's aftermarket ear pads for this headphone at some point, you'll be able to do that as well. So a really nice feature there from Noble that just increases the longevity of this headphone. And then I also just want to credit the company for how they've implemented their power switches, all their buttons for noise cancellation and pairing, and also their audio outputs with the 3.5mm output and the USB-C. So there's a lot of ways to use the hardware on this headphone even without the Bluetooth, and that's really nice to see. Okay, so getting into the technical design of this headphone as well as some of the functionality that it offers. Let's just start with the elephant in the room. It's a dual driver headphone, first of its kind, that uses a 40mm dynamic driver as well as a 14.5mm planar magnetic driver. Now, the dynamic driver is intended to increase the bass response and make for a really solid, robust bass response, take all the positives of dynamic driver capabilities for that area, but then meet it with the more detail-oriented, clearer, and more precise properties of a planar magnetic driver in its upper mids and treble. So you're getting a really nice mix, a best of both worlds, if you will, of those two drivers. And we'll talk more about how the sound actually sounds when we get to the sound impressions. Now, providing noise canceling capabilities on this headphone is the QCC3084 chip, which significantly reduces outside noise from -20 dB to -35 dB, so that's pretty good. There's also a standard transparency mode built in that uses the same chip, and it's really good. It lets audio through in a natural way, but I personally have always struggled with transparency mode. I just noticed the reproduction of sound too much. I'd rather just work with noise cancellation off in general and just let the bleed through come in that way. But it's nice to have, and it's an advanced feature for those who want to be really tuned into the outside world while having music blasting in their headphones. And then all these features combined with Noble's app, which allows you to adjust EQ, control your noise cancellation settings, as well as do firmware updates for the headphone. And we recommend updating your firmware to the latest possible firmware, just to make sure you're getting the best sound quality across all platforms on this headphone. And then finally, I just want to note the addition of an external boom microphone. It's something you don't see on all Bluetooth headphones, but while it's not going to take you to a recording level or anything, it'll definitely up your mic game on calls or gaming. It's just a really nice touch that, again, it just separates it from other headphones in the similar price range that don't offer such things. So as far as Bluetooth goes, it uses Bluetooth 5.3, which means it's capable of multi-point connections, so you can easily switch between different devices with this headset. That also means that codecs like LDAC are compatible with the headphones, so you're going to get a pretty high-quality audio transmission through these headphones that make use of these driver designs. And then for battery life, you're going to get 80 hours of battery life when not using noise canceling, and 60 hours when noise cancellation is activated. So that's pretty good, but on the flip side, there is no fast charging as far as I could tell, so it's going to take up to 3 hours of a charge to get the full charge. But that's not the end of the world when it's putting 60 to 80 hours of battery life on the other end. Alright, so now the fun part. How do these headphones sound? And we're going to start with the bass response, which means we're going to start with that dynamic driver. So if I had to call this bass response one word, I would call it robust. It's a big bass sound. Everything from its sub-bass extension to its mid-bass bloom, which some might call mid-bass bloat. I call it bloom. I think it sounds really nice. But those who are more sensitive to bass responses might think it's a little bloated. I think it's ultimately a really fun and engaging and rounded sound that's more musical and more enjoyable. It might not be the most detailed bass response that I've heard on a headphone, even a Bluetooth headphone, but it is one of the more musical ones, and I really enjoyed the timbre that it produced, a very warm feeling that I just really liked hearing. Now, listening to Nala Sinefro's new album, Endlessness, I was really taken aback by the textures and the different dynamic sounds that were coming from the bass response. Just very forward-sounding and very impactful bass hits. And that didn't just come from kick drums, but also from stringed instruments. There's definitely, again, a nice impact coming from the bass response. Another word I'd use to describe the bass other than robust is personality. It just has a lot of personality, a lot of character. It's a unique sound that when we get into the next section with the planar magnetic drivers, you'll see it really adds a layer of character to the sound. And with that, we will get into the mid-range. So this is where the drivers kind of transition from each other. So from what I can glean, the 14.5 millimeter planar driver kind of kicks in at the top end of the mid-range. You're still getting some of that boominess from the dynamic driver in the lower mid-range, and this again leads to warmer male vocals. Again, a nice warm timbre that just sounds pleasant and musical. And then you've got that upper mid-range that opens things up to more detail and more space and more resolving abilities. And that's where there's room for all this sophistication that you were wondering where that was. It's not just a fun headphone. It also is highly detailed. So we'll break that down. So female vocals are really clean. I did a lot of my listening on Joni Mitchell and Fleetwood Mac, and both of those really pushed the planar magnetic driver, and I was really impressed with what I saw. A lot of detail, really good instrument separation, and really good layering. That said, there are times where you run into a little bit of artificiality, especially in that upper mid-range where that transition sort of happens. Yeah, you might hear a little bit of harshness or a little bit of oddity there, but it's very, very minute. You don't notice it unless you're really looking for it. But for the most part, the mid-range is very detailed. It provides this really interesting contrast with the bass, and we'll get into this more with the treble, where it's doing both fun, engaging musical and detailed, clear, spacious at the same time. So that's really unique, and so we'll just get into the top end now while we're talking about it. So the treble is crisp and energetic. I would hesitate to call this a V-shaped headphone because there, the mid-range is sort of forward too, just in a different way, but definitely due to the way that the drivers are implemented, there is an emphasis on bass and treble. And this is a good thing because it keeps things fun, but it also adds a level of detail that I wasn't really expecting. There's more space, a lot of room for resolving ability, and I just overall was really pleased with how the treble came out. One song I used to test out the treble was Brittany Howard's Stay High. I like to use this track for this because it has a lot of higher frequency percussion. Bells, triangles, little cymbal hits, stuff like that. And I was really impressed with the decay and the ability to resolve the details there and not feel harshness or like it's rushing off, like it's too fast. It's just a very natural but energetic top end. Now, as far as soundstage goes, I wouldn't say that this competes with a true open back headphone. It's got Bluetooth and noise canceling going on, so there is going to be some level of compressed sound to the soundstage. But I still was impressed with how wide a space it establishes, and what its real strength is imaging within that space. So even though you're not getting the widest of sound stages, you're getting a really well distributed sound stage. Which I think makes for a really enjoyable listening experience. So overall, what would I call this headphone? I would say it's kind of a jack of all trades and master of many. It can do a lot of things really well. It does have weaknesses. It's not perfect like any product. Like I said, there is that slight artificiality in the upper mid-range. And if you're a person who wants a bright sound signature, you're not necessarily getting that with this headphone. You're getting a mix. If you want a warm headphone, same thing. You're getting more of a mix of the two. So if you specifically want those things, this may not be the headphone to go for. Otherwise, if you're just looking for a good on-the-go headphone that's going to give you a really engaging but still detailed listening experience, that's going to be good for conference calls, good for gaming, good for so many things, last you a long time, both in terms of durability and battery life, I have a pretty easy time recommending these. I think they're worth trying out for sure. It'll definitely be a unique listening experience for you, and definitely check them out. So with that all in mind, that's going to do it for today's video. Once again, if you can like and subscribe, that helps us out and it'll help you out too. So definitely do that, and we'll see you next time.